morning again. Since Venerable Master is not here, Venerable Master Chin Kung, religious leaders, brothers and sisters of various faiths, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you and thank you for coming. At the outset, we would like to convey our sincere thanks to Master Chin Kung for inviting us here. It's a great honor to introduce our religion. It's a great honor for us because our religion is one of the oldest in the world. And so there is a lot of misunderstanding, misconception. People have never found out what the real religion was. And today I hope to explain to you as much as I can. My name is Ervad Rustom Ghadiali. I'm an ordained priest of the Zoroastrian religion. We became priests before we are 15 years old. And so I'm here to just introduce my religion. The Zoroastrian religion is one of the oldest and the first revealed religion, monotheistic religion in the world. Monotheistic means one God. The concept of one God was introduced by our religion. And when we say revealed, means this was a religion which was written down after certain years. It was the first religion that was written down. Otherwise all religions were by verbal chanting. Zoroastrian religion is prior to Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Taoism, Jainism, Sikhism, Bahá'í and other later faiths. There have been many other faiths that have come up. I would like to start with some of the misconceptions that are there about our religion. Why there is misconception is because the religion is about now 4,000 years old. And so we have gone through a lot of upheavals. A lot of time we were pushed out of the country in Iran where the religion was started. We were persecuted. We were asked not to follow our religion. And so the religion went through a lot of changes from time to time. The first destruction came by Alexander the Great, when he destroyed all the libraries in Persepolis. When he destroyed all the libraries, all the books of religions were completely wiped out. And so, again, later on, some other priests started writing it. But the original books which were written by Prophet Zarathustra, called the Gathas, and the books that are written by the priests later on are very different. There have been additions to the concept because they wanted to write about the time. You know, there are times when some countries do not allow religion to be flourished or introduced or conversion to take place. So the first thing that people have this concept that Zoroastrians are fire worshippers. We are not fire worshippers. Why do you think we are not fire worshippers and why you think that you are a fire worshipper? In your own religion, you light a candle, you light a lamp. Some people light just a small candle. But in our religion, we are known that we are fire worshippers because our temples are known as fire temples. And why our temples are known as fire temples is because when a temple is being opened, a consecrated fire is just not an ordinary fire, it's fire from various ways of life are brought in and the fire is started when the temple is started. That consecrated fire is not allowed to be put down. Even if the temple has to move or close down, the fire will have to move. So we have moved fire at many places like Yemen, in Saudi Arabia and other places where we had temples, but we had to move because of the government rules or persecution. And the fire was brought, one of the stories of the fire which was brought to India from Yemen was by a plane. Air India, the airline company, belongs to a Zoroastrian in those days. So we brought the fire by a plane to India. A specially built cabins were built, priests were on the plane, and they prayed all the way to India. This thought about good thoughts and good words and good deeds. The idea is that you think about good thoughts, means you think about good things, and then you have good words for that, and then with the good words you take good action. So in our Persian, Humata, Hukta, Huvarashta. Humata means good thoughts, Hukta means good words, and good deeds, Huvarashta. This is what is taught in our religious books, in the original book from the Prophet. The other misconception that we have is that all Parsis are Zoroastrian. Now, who are Parsis? Parsi is not a religion. Parsi are the people who moved from Iran. They were Zoroastrians who moved from Iran because of persecution. And when they moved from Iran and they landed in the shores of India, they were asked, where do you come from? And they said, we come from Paras, P-A-R-S, a city in Iran. So they started calling them Parsis. And that word is still today, we are better known as Parsis than Zoroastrian in India. The reason being that when we landed in India, we were given a piece of land, and for 700 years we lived only with our community. We were not allowed to mix with the Indians or anybody. And the ruler who gave us permission to live in India had one condition, that we will not convert people and not take anything from the Indians. So we must build everything on our own from the start. So we built our own schools, our own fire temples, and all our businesses that we brought from Iran that time, we continued from there. Till the British came to India, and the British said there is no such thing, you can move wherever you want. So we started moving from that place called Sanjan, 180 miles from Mumbai, Bombay, which it was called before, and we moved to Mumbai. As today, some of the big Indian companies worldwide known are Tatas. Tatas are worldwide known because of they build trucks, the Tata Mercedes-Benz, the Land Rover, the Jaguar. This is the Tata family. And they own the biggest steel mill in the world in Jamshedpur. The Jamshedpur is a city in India where the steel mill is situated. And what is different between this steel mill and the other steel mills? We have steel mill in Singapore also. You may have a steel mill in Taiwan. This steel mill in India gives you lifelong employment. From the day you join, you become an employee for life. They don't throw them out. Their children also study under the scholarships free of charge, and they also join this company called Tata Steel. Tata is one of the largest software company also in the world, and one of the largest car manufacturer now. They have plants in England, Germany, and other places besides India. The issue that we had today and we still have, why are we not allowed to marry outside? When we were given permission to land in India, one of the conditions was from the ruler called Jadav Rana. He said there is no place in India, we are very full up. So he sent a bowl of milk to the people who landed there, and there was a priest leading our people, and he said that, see, our bowl of milk is full, we don't have place, sorry, we can't allow you to come in. So the priest said, I will show you there is place. So he said, can you bring a bowl of sugar? So they brought a bowl of sugar, and with a small spoon, he slowly put the sugar in the milk. And he said, see, the milk didn't overflow, and the milk now is sweet. And that's what our community will do. We are so small. So the ruler was very impressed, and he gave us permission to live in India. And for the last about 1700 years, we have been living in India peacefully with other religions. Now I'll give you an overview of the Zoroastrian religion. As I said again, and I say again, Zoroastrian religion teaches good thoughts, good words and good deeds. This is very important for our children to understand, that it's not all money and education that's all important. They must learn to do good deeds, good words, good thoughts, good words and good deeds. That's why in India, the Parsis are the largest philanthropists. The charities they have done in India, though they are the smallest community in the world and the smallest community in India, but the charities they have done in India are the largest. No other community or religion has done such charities as we have done. The other important thing is always speak the truth. It doesn't matter how hard it is to speak the truth, because it is important to speak the truth, because if you say a lie, you'll have to live with it and continue building stories about your lies. And the other important thing is share and care. Share everything that you can with people who need it more than you. Even if you have 2 biscuits, give one to somebody who needs one. You will eat one only, but that doesn't matter. The other person will be happy because he didn't have anything. And sharing and caring is one of the most important things in most of the religions today. I mean, some of like the Buddhist religion, is also a very sharing and caring religion. The amount of Buddhist charities in the world are outstanding. The other important thing are prayers. Prayers are important and need to pray 5 times a day or as many times as you can. Because today people work, they can't pray 5 times, it doesn't matter. Pray as soon as you get up in the morning. Pray again before you go to sleep. Pray if you can in the afternoon. But prayers are the most important thing in religion. The fire, as we are called fire worshippers, let me explain. Fire is only a symbol of Zoroastrianism. It's not that we worship fire. We pray to our God, our Master, through fire. So Zoroastrians do not worship fire. Priests and individuals offer prayers through the fire to Lord our Master. Every ritual and ceremony involves the presence of the sacred fire, which represents God's splendor and divine grace. Fire in the place of worship, like you have monasteries, we have temples. Our temples are called fire temples because there is a fire from the day one the temple is started. So they are called fire temples. And this is a consecrated fire. It's not an ordinary fire which you just light with a matchstick.
Follow the slide.
And offerings of sandalwood and frankincense is offered 5 times a day to the fire only by ordained priests. We have priests who live on the fire temple and they tend to the fire 24 hours. A small ritual fire is also lighted in every Zoroastrian's house. If you go to a Zoroastrian, Irani or Parsi's house, you will find a small lamp. They light it every morning after their bath and say their prayers. It's very important for us to have a small fire in the house. Our text, our religious texts, are called the Gathas. And these texts are written by our prophet Zarathustra. These are the original hymns from the prophet. Whereas our prayer book, we have the small prayer book where our daily prayers are there. We say our daily prayers from the book called Avastha. You see a figure of Ashofar, which is angel of peace. Today in Iran, they have built a small island in this shape. Actually, it's from a Syrian regime that came up. I will now give you a small talk about who are the Zoroastrians. This
Follow the text.
Presentation is by one of our young scholars called Mr. Khojiste Mistry. He studied religion for 11 years before he became a scholar. And this special presentation was made by him for us today.
Follow the slides.
So who are the Zoroastrians? Zoroastrians are the followers of the great Iranian prophet Spitma Zarathustra, known to the Greeks as Zoroaster. Why Greeks are coming in the picture? Because that time Greece was a very powerful nation. And we had conflicts with Greece many times. And at later stage, the Greek general Alexander defeated us. Zarathustra lived somewhere in northeast of the Aral Sea more than 3,000 years ago, circa 1200 years before Christ. 1200 BCE means 1200 years before Christ.
Next one.
Iran at the time of Zarathustra's birth was a land where many pagan gods and goddesses were being propitiated through ignorance and fear. Pagan gods, you understand, means statues, photographs and things like that. And they believed in everything that time, out of ignorance and fear. The prophet Zarathustra, in his sublime hymns, the Gathas, revealed to mankind that there is one supreme, all-knowing, eternal God of good creations, Ahura Mazda, the Lord of wisdom, who is wholly wise, good and just. Ahura Mazda, he thought, was a friend to all and never to be feared. Never to be feared by man, who in turn should worship him. Locked in open conflict, he proclaimed were the two primordial spirits, the Spentamanu, the Holy Spirit of Ahura Mazda, and his diabolical adversary, Angramanyu, the hostile spirit. It's a story about good and evil, which still goes on today. If you look at today, the world is divided between good and evil. You see the fighting going on in Middle East, the issues taken up by US with Iran and other places. It's all about good and evil. What are the Zoroastrian doctrine? According to Zoroastrian sacred text, Ahura Mazda, or Mast, through his omniscience, knew of his own goodness, as well as he was aware of the hostile spirit's limited strength and finite existence. In order to destroy the evil power of his adversary, Ahura Mazda created an immaculate material world of the 7 creations to trap the hostile spirit. Ahura Mazda knew that Angramanyu, because of his inherent destructive nature and innate ignorance, would attack the material world, bringing within disorder, falsehood, wickedness, sorrow, cruelty, disease, suffering and death. Ahura Mazda, according to Ahura Mazda, man was the finest creation. Man is the finest creation of God. Is believed to be the central figure in this cosmic struggle between good and evil. It's man who's in between. You either take the side good or evil, but it's up to you. The prophet declared that it is during this period of conflict that man, through free will, should choose to fight and vanquish the hostile spirit using the ethical paradigm of goodness, the good mind, truth, power, devotion, perfection, and immortality. The 7 qualities collectively came to be known as the Amesha Spenters, bounteous immortals. It is the responsibility of man to imbibe the virtues of these divines in order to know how to generate the right thoughts, right words, and right actions. Zarathustra recognized that the use of these principles of righteous living would enable man to bring about the eventual annihilation of evil in this world. I again give you a background about man, which is in our holy books. Man's unique spiritual quest, according to Zoroastrianism, is linked to the preservation and promotion of the wise Lord's 7 creations, namely what we call today evolution and pollution, the sky, water, earth, plants, cattle, man and fire. This is 4,000 years back it was written, and today we are looking at the same thing. We are looking at how we are polluting the world.
Next.
The last creation, fire, is a potent reality in Zarathustra's revelation, as the prophet saw fire to be the physical representation of Asha, that is order, truth and righteousness, as a source of light, warmth and life for his people. If you think about fire, what does fire do? It gives you not only the light, it also gives you warmth and life for people. All the religious rituals, the performance of which are an important Zoroastrian duty, are solemnized in the presence of fire, which is seen as the life energy which permits and makes dynamic the wise Lord's other 6 creations. Now, what does it mean to have a Zoroastrian life? Zarathustra taught that since this world created by Ahura Mazda is essentially good, man should live well and enjoy its bountiful gifts, though always in moderation, as the states of excess and deficiency in Zoroastrianism are deemed to be the working of the hostile spirit. In short, what the Zoroastrian religion teaches, that do everything moderately. Don't go in excess. A Zoroastrian is encouraged to lead a good and prosperous life. It doesn't say that you don't lead a prosperous life. It doesn't say, no, you have to show you are poor only or something like that. If you are rich, but share with the other people. And hence, monasticism, celibacy, fasting, and the mortification of the body are anathema to the faith. We do not cremate our bodies. And we do not do fasting. Now there are some meaning why this was being done at that time. It may not be valid today. But in 3,000 or 4,000 years back we are talking about, in Iran we were farmers. And we need to be strong to be a farmer. So fasting was not being encouraged. They wanted people to eat well and work well. And that's why we still do not do fasting. If we may do fasting today because the doctor tells you, oh, you've got blood pressure and you've got heart disease and you do this and do that, and you do that. So you do fasting. But it's not in our religion. It's not in some of the religions, fasting is very much. And today fasting is good in a way because your health is improving with that. Such practices are seen to weaken man and thereby lessen his power to fight evil. As I said, this was valid in those 4,000 years back, but today it may not be valid. In his teachings, a Zoroastrian is encouraged to lead an active, industrial, but honest and above all, a happy, charitable life. Charity is one of the biggest things in our religion, in our community. Today even, the highest charities being done are by my small community around the world. If you read about Zoroastrianism, mainly about the Parsis, you will understand what charities are being done. In Mumbai, the city of Bombay, every corner of Mumbai has a Parsi statue of a Parsi gentleman, a man, a philanthropist who did large charities there. I mean, it's an Indian country, why would they need Parsi statues? But they say they are the people who build schools for us, they build hospitals for us, they did charities for us. And we have lived peacefully in India because of that. I'm sure if we were not going to be peacefully living there, we had to live peacefully, we had to do something, we had to share. We had to share our things. How are you? I said that. Now the other thing is about physical death. I'm not very sure whether you would be interested, but I would just like to see a few things. That physical death is seen as a temporary triumph of evil because our soul actually is being judged when we die. It's not your physical body, it's not your face and how you look, your soul. Your soul has a memory where all the good and the bad is being recorded. It's like a tape recorder. Everything is recorded, what you do, good and bad. And when you pass away, the soul is the one that is being judged. It is in our religion, it may not be in yours, but I'm just sharing what we have. We consider the prayers for the soul for 4 days after our death. These 4 days prayers are to help the soul move peacefully to the next world. Because everybody in this world do not do good and everybody do not do bad. Everybody has done something good, something bad, but the soul records it.
Follow the slide.
And it follows in the next life. And what you have done good, you receive its reward or punishment depending upon the life it has led in the world. How you lead your life here is important. It's not that, who's going to watch me? I'm the master. There is a master watching you, your soul. It records everything. And that's one of the things in our religion which is very important to us to understand. It is you who do good and bad, not God. It is you who decide what is good and bad, what you should do, what you should not do. The people have this wrong impression, I do it, my God said this. God doesn't tell you anything. God has given you a free will. God has given you the freedom to decide what you want to do, how you want to lead your life. And it's very important. In most of the religions today, they teach you the same thing. And it's very important to learn all religions, because when you read all religions, you will know how many commonalities are there. So many things are common. The soul which has generated more good thoughts, words and deeds in this earthly sojourn is deemed to be the righteous. The soul which has been deficient in righteous actions is seen to be wicked. The righteous soul will ascend to the abode of joy and light, while the wicked soul will descend into the depths of darkness and gloom. What we call joy and light is called paradise, and what we call darkness and gloom is called hell. The latter state, however, is a temporary state. Nobody remains in that state forever. So there is no eternal damnation in Zoroastrianism. You are not for life punished. There is the promise of a series of saviors, the Sasanians, who appear in the world and complete the triumph of good over evil. Evil will be rendered ineffective, and Ahura Mazda, the Infinite One, finally become truly omnipotent in endless light. There will then take place a general last judgment of all the souls, awaiting redemption, followed by the resurrection of the physical body, which once again meets its spiritual counterpart, the soul. Now, this is very difficult to understand today for our young people, because they say, what has the soul got to do? How would I know? And how would I know that what is good and bad? But slowly, as they grow old and they study religions and their parents tell them, they understand. Time, as we know, will cease to exist, and the 7 creations of Ahura Mazda will be gathered together in eternal blessedness in the kingdom of Ahura Mazda, where everything in this belief will remain in a perfect state of immortality and eternal joy. Now we Zoroastrians have gone through, we were in Iran, we were persecuted, we had to leave Iran because the Arabs and later on the Muslims did not want us to continue with our religion. They wanted us to convert to Islam religion. And those who did not want to convert, they hired a boat and left Iran and landed on the shores of India. But for 1700 years, now it's almost 1700 plus years, we are in India. And we still follow the old religion. The only problem that is there is that the people who migrated are very orthodox. They believe that whatever was the old religion must be followed. It doesn't matter whether we give a promise and change the religion or not. And this causes the problem for us today, for our young people, because they do not wish to continue with the religion. They want to read the religion. They want to understand the way they feel. They're very educated. We have all sorts of scholarships to study free. Our community studies free in India, and they are sent abroad also, they study free. But when it comes to religion, very few people want to study religion. And when they do read religion, they have their own mind. They have their own thoughts. So today, our community is dwindling. We had over 200,000 people when we moved from Iran to India. Initially, we were only 70,000 people, but we grew in India to 200,000. But today, we have gone back to 150,000 around the world. Our young people, the minute they finish their school, they want to go to either Australia, US, England, other places to study. Once they go there, they don't want to come back. They don't want to come back because of this restriction of marriage. The families will be very strict about young people marrying outside. One of the conditions that we have is that you must marry within the religion. But this is not the original text of our Prophet. It was written much later to protect us against the conditions that were imposed on us in Iran and India and other places. And we were also in China. Our community flourished in China till the communists took over. We were the largest business people in China, in Guangzhou, in Shanghai. And they all moved now to Hong Kong. And today, if you read the history of Hong Kong, the largest charities in Hong Kong are done by Parsis from China. The Shroff family, they have put up a hospital, free hospital in Hong Kong for any religion. We have scholarships for children of any religion in Hong Kong, and we live peacefully in Hong Kong with the Chinese people. So for over 1,000 years, from circa 550 BCE before Christ to 651 Christ era, the religion taught by Zarathustra flourished as the state religion of three mighty Iranian empires, that of the Achaemenians 55 to 330 before Christ, the Parthians 248 before Christ to 224 Christ era, and the Sasanians 224 to 651 Christ era. Amongst the many subjects of the Achaemenian Empire were the Jews, who adopted some of the Prophet's main teachings appertaining to the hereafter and transmitted them in due course to Christianity and later indirectly to Islam. So today, if you read the Jewish book of religion, you will find there is a paragraph about Cyrus. Cyrus, the Iranian king, Zoroastrian king, is in the book of religion as the anointed king, means appointed by God. And why is that? Because Cyrus, when he invaded Jerusalem and took over the temples, the synagogues, later on he said, you go back and rebuild it and live there peacefully. And so he has been put in the book of religion as King of Kings. The vast extent of their empire brought the Zoroastrians in contact with people of different races and traditions. Their willingness to absorb and adopt these influences led them to develop a distinct art form, as evident in the city palaces of Pasargadae and Persepolis, as well as in the rock carvings of Naqi Rustam and Taqi Bustan. If you have been to Iran, you will understand the Zoroastrian religion is carved in the mountains. Wherever you go in the mountain and say there is a security, why is there a security? Because there is the old religions, it's either a burial place or a temple. And the Iranian government, though it is against the Zoroastrian, it protects it. The concept also about Iran being against Zoroastrianism is different. As long as you don't go against the religion, as long as you want to live peacefully in Iran, they will allow you to live in Yazd and Kerman. They will not allow you to live, they will not allow us, not you, Zoroastrians, to live in Tehran. Though we have one fire temple in Tehran, but we have got many fire temples in Yazd, Kerman and other places. And what is good about those fire temples? They are all farmers. Their neighbors are Muslims. They follow Islam. But they come and pray in our temple. Why? Because there is no mosque around there. And we have no objection to them to come and pray. We have a separate compartment for them to come and pray. We coming from India were very shocked when we went to Iran and we saw them praying in the fire temple. How can they come into the fire temple when in India it is banned? Nobody can enter a fire temple in India. It's a law that nobody can enter. But here, they came and prayed, and we were very surprised that time, but the priest explained, they are our good neighbors. They come and stand for us if anything happens here. If the Iranian government wants to take up anything, they will come and say, this is our place. You cannot do anything. So, these things are not being published in the paper. So people always feel, oh, Iran is doing this, Iran is doing that. Iran has its own laws, and certain things are not in favor of other religions except Islam. Like Jews, Zoroastrians, Baha'is, they are not being favored at all. We cannot do national service in Iran. We cannot do business in Iran because they do not want these three communities, religions to flourish in Iran. But they allow us to have our temples. Outside Tehran, you come and see the amount of temples that we have. Now, Pasargade and Persepolis are the original carvings and the cities, the palaces of the Persian. But they have been destroyed when Alexander invaded Persia. And today you only see the ruins. But the ruins are so large that when you see them, you understand what they must be in its original form.
We are not able to translate because you're not following the slides. Follow the slides.
Sorry?
Follow the slides.
The other two important places that you should visit are the carvings of Naqi Rustam and Taqi Bustan. You have to climb on the mountains to go to this place. It's pretty steep, it's not very well staircased, and old people need help to climb that. But it's worth going and seeing it. Because in this place, there is a water flowing in from where nobody knows. This is a cave where one of the Persian princess, took refuge when she was being followed by the Arabs. She disappeared, nobody knows where, and that's why today people go and pray there. Hundreds of people, they go and pray there. Almost every day you will see people going there. So these two places are important to see if you go to Iran. And Iran, you'll be amazed. It's a beautiful place. It has got wonderful roads than what we have in Taiwan, Singapore, anywhere. Miles and miles and miles of beautiful roads. You won't even feel it. We traveled for 15 days in a bus. We were not tired even. So it's worth going to Iran if you're interested. The only major upheaval during this period was brought about by the invasion of Alexander of Macedonia, who against all odds emerged victorious over the Achaemenian armies in 331 before Christ. At one time, we all believed that the Persian army was invincible. Nobody could defeat them, but Alexander did defeat them. And once he defeated them, his first issue was to put fire to all the libraries. He wanted to destroy all the books. He didn't want to leave any books so that the religion would not flourish. But Alexander died very young. In the aftermath of Alexander's death, a fragmented empire gave way to the resurgent Zoroastrian force, the Parthians. The Parthians, during their rule, sacred fires of the faith were re-established, and the Zoroastrian sacred text, the Avesta, was compiled under the royal decree. The Sasanians, who succeeded the Parthians, established Zoroastrianism as the state religion and played a significant role as the great restorers of the faith. Many of the religious rites and traditions followed by Zoroastrians today can be traced to the Sasanian attempt to consolidate and unify the faith. Zoroastrian dominance in the Near East came to an end with the Arab conquest of Iran in the 7th century. Today, as you know, Iran is not a Zoroastrian country. It's a Muslim country. And for us to go there, we need a special visa. We are given only 30 days to stay there. If you overstay, you're put in prison. But we follow the rules because it's worth going for us to see what was the original religion. Why would we like to go to Iran to see it when we are in India have the religion? The difference is in India we have fire temples. Temples built to hold the consecrated fire. In Iran there are the original caves. They were there where a fire was established. The first fire which was brought out of Iran to India is now almost 1700 years old in a place called Udwada. It's still there, it's being maintained and followed properly by the priest. So, as I said earlier, the only places we can live there in Iran are provinces of Yazd and Kerman. Lovely places, but it's a farming place. Most of the people are farmers. As I earlier said that the century, a small group in the 10th century, a small group of Zoroastrians seeking freedom of worship and economic redress left Iran and sailed towards the warm shores of Western India. And they eventually arrived along the Gujarat coast in 1936, Christ era, at a place they named Sanjan, 180 kilometers off Bombay, which is now known as Mumbai. They flourished and came to be known as the Parsis, a term used by the Indians for anyone whose origins were from Iran. Over time, the Parsis, as they came to be known, settled in tiny enclaves along the western coast of India. They then migrated to Mumbai in the 17th century at the invitation of the East India Company. The British had this company called East India. It almost like the government. And in Mumbai, the community prospered as shipping magnates, cotton kings, and international traders and brokers. All this brought them wealth and social prominence. It was easy for them to become shipping magnates and cotton kings because they were already in business in China. Then they were also in business in Iran. So when they migrated, they took their businesses to India. Endowments and educational institutions were established and westernization was encouraged, and Parsis became the agents of social change. As I said earlier, endowments and educational institutions were built to share with other communities. They were not built only for our community. We didn't think that we are so small we can't share. We still share, and we are still sharing today. We have schools in Mumbai and in Gujarat where 50% of the students are non-Parsis. They study free with us. There is no issue about it. Known for their integrity and loyalty, they have left an inedible print on the culture and social ethos of India. Today, the Zoroastrian community, consisting of about 115,000 individuals only, live in India, Iran, and various parts of the English-speaking world. Now, this English-speaking came about because when British invaded India, English was the main language. And the Parsis, when they were allowed to freely move about in India, they took it that the British were like their gods. Every family, Parsi family, would have a picture of the king and queen as if they were gods. Even my own parents. And we used to ask them why. They said, well, they allowed us to live here. They allowed us to do this. They allowed us to do that. We had a photograph of Zarathustra, but also we had the picture of queen and king. And English became the major media for us. We studied English first, then our own language, then any other language. In schools we were taught 3 languages. Our English, a mother tongue, and either French or German. Faced with the pressure of secular, unipolar world and the threat of cultural and religious assimilation within the diaspora, some members of the community are meeting the challenge with renewed interest in the study and practice of the religion. They are trying to study the religion, re-study it. But the point is that the original Gathas, the original book of religion from the Zoroastrian what? Yeah. There is a difference in the text from the original and the books written later on. And this is causing a little conflict because today the young people, they go on the computer and see Google. Google is the next God. They open Google and say, oh, why you are saying this? Google says this, Google says that. So you have to study the religion very carefully today because our young children are very well educated. They don't take anything that you tell them. They want to confirm it. They want to verify it. They want to see what is the truth. It's good in a way because all these young scholars,
the last documentary.
Because the young scholars today, they think they are the scholars, so they can say anything. But it doesn't work anymore. We have seen young students standing up and telling him, I have seen it and this is what it is. Can you explain why you are saying this? Which book are you referring to? Which is the text? And then it becomes clear that if they have not studied properly, they just give I am telling you, which is not accepted. I am telling you doesn't mean anything. You are not a God on this earth to say what I say is the only truth. So we studied well now the religion, and in fact I would advise all young people to study not only their own religion, study other religions. You will be amazed. All religions have got good things in it. All religions have got the same thing almost. So it's better to study all religion, just not your own religion, because sometimes you have a biased teacher who only says, what I say is correct. What I say is the truth. But then you realize when you study more that there are things which are not correct. Is that the film? Is it there?
No.
Well, this is all that I could say at the moment about the religion. I have some photographs about Iran to show you what Iran was and what Iran is today. I don't know whether they can put it on, but if they cannot, then I'm sorry. Otherwise we would have shown you the places. This is how would you believe that this is a Zoroastrian woman? Would you? Yes? Or it's an Islam woman or Muslim? They're all dressed in the same way, whether they are Muslim or Zoroastrian. They're all dressed in the same way, so you wouldn't be able to recognize. Can you see it at the back? As you know, Zoroastrians do not cremate. Why? Because of the fire. We do not want to defile the fire, so we don't cremate. So what was the thing that was being done was, our bodies were put on the top of the mountain. They are known as Tower of Silence. And on top of the mountain, because that is where the birds come in, the large vultures would come in and devour the body. So you are giving back to the earth your body as a last rite. Today it is very difficult to continue with this ritual also. In Singapore we are not allowed to have birds like this to devour the body. We can only do if we want bury or cremate. Burial also was not being done in Iran because we were farmers. We believed that if you bury a body in the land, for 100 years you can't grow anything. And that was the old thought. I think today Israelis have proved that you can grow anything you want anywhere. But being farmers in those old days, we did not bury people. Until today, that same concept is in India. If you say, I want to bury my body, they don't want you to have the religious prayers. If you want to cremate, they won't allow you to have religious prayers. So this is the photo of the Tower of Silence. This is in Iran. Today, there are no vultures there. Today, the bodies are not being put there because there are no vultures, so the bodies then rot. So the bodies are being buried. In Iran, they allow you to bury the bodies. And this one is a fire temple that was built in Tehran, the only fire temple that is in Tehran. And this was brought from Ardakan after that 1474. After that, 1474 is not very far off. But this is the only fire temple which was built there. If you look at the other fire temples in Yazd and Kerman, they look like mosques. They look like Muslim Islamic mosques. They have a round dome on the top. Even in India, the fire temples don't look like this. We have in the center there is a dome where the main fire is.
Okay.
Have you got this?
Yes.
This is how the Zoroastrians pray in Iran. You see in the center there is a big urn.
That's the fire.
Do you have a way? And the gentleman standing with the white cap is the priest. In Iran, the priests normally don't wear the white clothes like us, but they wear the white cap. And they can wear any clothes they want. But the fire which is in the center is very important. That urn that you have, you can see such urns in one other religion, the Taoist. In the Taoist temples also, you see the similar urns, not like the silver one, but they have similar urns. Now on this is a consecrated fire which starts when the temple is open. And the priest's job is to maintain it so that the fire doesn't die. The next photo on the side is the worshippers in the fire temple. You can easily mistake them for Muslim religion, Muslim ladies. The other photograph is the cooling towers. They had all this sort of thing so many years back when water was scarce and water need to be kept cool. So they had built this Abergel. It's a central dome and below there is the waters, cooling towers. And this is the doorway in Yazd. It's a separate door for women and separate door for men. But this is only in Iran, because in Iran they don't allow men and women to go in the mosque in the same place. You have separate compartments. So they had to build this. This is not the Zoroastrian religion. It is not original religion. This was built just to keep the Islam regime happy. This is an irrigation system. It must be about 3,000 to 4,000 years old. When people were farmers, they knew how to have an irrigation system. They needed water to cultivate their farms. Anything else? And this is what I mean by the dome. The one on the center dome, this is like our fire temple. Though here it says it's Alexander's prison, but I'm not very sure because we had never seen it. But our fire temples look like this today in India. The center dome, and then we have this building on the sides. And below the dome is the main fire.
No, over next will be the fire.
So I hope...
No, fire.
Where's the fire?
They're bringing it. Yeah. Tell me about towers.
Okay. Well, since we have the slide, I can show you. This is one of the places in Yazd where foreigners also go up, climb all this place. You see, it's difficult to climb, but they do, because this is a very important place for the Zoroastrian religion.
He has climbed many stairs.
This is the old fire temple.
Mordechai is coming to see the original fire.
Salferoni?
Putana Mene. He has come to see the original.
Today you see a lot of foreigners writing books on Zoroastrianism, and they come there to verify whether it's real or not. So that's it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience.